Hey guys, today I want to go straight into an issue that a lot of you are definitely struggling with in DC, Dark Legion, and that is the spiritual damage meta. If you have ever stepped into a match where your entire team gets wiped out in just a few seconds because of spiritual damage from the enemy, then you know exactly how helpless that feels, especially when you face teams like Justice League Dark and Legion of Doom. But today, I'm going to introduce you to two names that, in my opinion, are the most complete solution right now to deal with that problem: Hawkgirl and Martian Manhunter. Not only that, I will also directly compare them to see who is stronger in which aspect, and why, when paired together, they become a duo that is almost impossible to break. Before getting into the analysis, I want to set a bit of context. The current meta of DC, Dark Legion, is being dominated by heroes that can deal continuous and overwhelming spiritual damage. This type of damage is extremely difficult to deal with if your team is not built correctly because it bypasses many layers of normal physical defense. And that's exactly when Hawkgirl and Martian Manhunter step into the spotlight. Starting with Hawkgirl, the girl who, after the recent rework, has reached a completely different level. Hawkgirl is a Mythic Plus warrior belonging to the Weapon Master, Birds of Prey, and Justice League factions. Looking at her tags, physical damage, spiritual damage absorption, frontline tank, you can immediately see she is designed to do one thing and do it very well: stand in the front and absorb all incoming spiritual damage from the enemy. The core mechanic of Hawkgirl revolves around something called nth metal Aegis, a stacking shield that she generates for herself. When she uses her ultimate dive bomb, she flies into the air and crashes down, dealing area physical damage while immediately gaining 2 stacks of nth metal Aegis. Her Hurricane Force skill also grants 1 stack each time it is activated. These stacks are not just for show. They directly absorb spiritual damage coming from enemy skills, and through the nth degree skill, every time she gains a shield, she also increases her spiritual resistance and restores health points. That means she blocks damage and heals herself at the same time, a very solid defensive loop. In addition, the energy absorption skill increases her base max health points, and if there are allies from Birds of Prey or Justice League in the team, that health points amount is boosted even further. To put it simply, Hawkgirl with the right team will have an extremely large health pool as the foundation for her entire defensive system. Now let's talk about her legacy piece, Thanagarian Mace. And this is where things get really interesting. The nth level skill at level 4 increases Hawkgirl's physical damage by up to 80%, and at the start of the battle, all allies gain 1 stack of nth metal Aegis, with each stack capable of absorbing up to 40% spiritual damage based on Hawkgirl's max health points. Do you understand what this means? From the very first second of the battle, your entire team already has a massive spiritual shield, and that shield scales with Hawkgirl's health points, which, as I mentioned, can be pushed very high. The emergency shield skill further increases her own spiritual defense by 80%, and every time she is hit by a basic attack, her attack increases permanently by 5%, stacking up to 15 times. That means the longer she stays in the fight, the more dangerous she becomes offensively. To sum up Hawkgirl, she is a frontline tank focused on proactive defense. She creates and maintains her own shields, actively absorbs and nullifies the enemy's spiritual damage, and protects her team right from the start of the match. This is a playstyle that you control from the moment you deploy your team. Now moving to the other one, Martian Manhunter, also known as John Johns, one of the most complex and interesting characters in the game. He is also a Mythic Plus warrior, but his factions are Metahuman, Justice League, and Outsiders, and his tags are completely different: spiritual damage, counterattack, frontline tank. He does not just stand and take hits, he stands, takes hits, and strikes back. The core mechanic of Martian Manhunter is Mind Ward, activated through his ultimate psionic protection. When he uses this skill, he links minds with his allies and grants them the Mind Ward status. The mechanic works like this: whenever an ally with this effect is hit by an enemy skill, Martian Manhunter immediately performs a counterattack, dealing spiritual damage. That means the more skills the enemy uses, the more often Martian Manhunter counterattacks, which is why he is extremely powerful in the current meta, where many heroes have very frequent area of effect skills. The Ronmir's Rage skill allows him to fire a heat beam in a rectangular area in front, dealing spiritual damage, adding offensive pressure alongside his counterattack mechanic. Outsiders Forever is one of his strongest defensive skills. While Mind Ward is active, both his and his allies' spiritual defense are greatly increased, forming a massive spiritual defensive wall. Telekinetic Shield increases physical defense for the entire team, especially warrior heroes. And Telepathic Bulwark significantly increases max health points. And if there are at least 3 allies from Outsiders or Justice League, the duration of Mind Ward is extended, keeping his counterattack engine running longer. His legacy piece is Kuru Pendant, and it turns him into an almost immortal machine. The Hranmir's Vengeance skill at level 4 allows him to restore 20% of his max health points after each skill use, with only a 5-second cooldown, meaning every few seconds, as long as he is casting skills, he heals a huge amount. More importantly, while Mind Ward is active and he is hit by a basic attack, the cooldown of all his skills is reduced by 2 seconds, with this effect having only a 1-second cooldown per trigger. Do you see it? The more he gets hit, the faster he casts skills, and the faster he casts skills, the more he heals. This is an extremely effective, self-sustaining loop. The Piercing Gaze skill further boosts his power. Every time an ally uses a skill or ultimate, his attack and spiritual defense increase permanently by 45%, stacking up to 4 times. That means if the fight lasts long enough, Martian Manhunter will reach a state where both his offense and defense become extremely terrifying. To sum up Martian Manhunter, he is a frontline tank focused on passive defense and counterattack. He does not create shields like Hawkgirl, but instead increases raw stats, heals continuously, and retaliates whenever his allies are attacked. His playstyle is about endurance, persistence, and scaling. The longer the fight goes, the stronger he becomes. So if you had to choose one of them, who would you pick? I'll be straightforward. The answer depends on what your team needs. In terms of immediate spiritual damage absorption, Hawkgirl clearly wins. Her nth metal Aegis works from the very first second and protects the entire team. In terms of long-term survivability and scaling over time, Martian Manhunter has the advantage with his healing loop and permanent stat growth from his legacy. For team support, both provide important buffs, but in different ways. Hawkgirl gives shields to allies, while Martian Manhunter increases defense and counterattacks on behalf of the team. For damage output, Hawkgirl with 80% physical damage from her legacy and her stacking attack mechanic creates strong pressure, while Martian Manhunter leans more towards sustained spiritual damage from counterattacks rather than burst. But honestly, the question who is stronger is the wrong question. Because when you use both together, what you get is not just the sum of 2 characters, it is exponential power. That is why I call this combo the immortal duo. Hawkgirl provides nth metal Aegis to the entire team right from the start, thanks to her legacy piece. This means her allies, including Martian Manhunter, immediately gain a thick spiritual shield to withstand the first wave of attacks. Martian Manhunter uses Outsiders Forever to increase spiritual defense for the whole team when Mind Ward is active, and this makes Hawkgirl's nth metal Aegis even stronger, because the higher the total spiritual defense, the harder it is to break that shield. These 2 layers of defense stack in a way that no single character can achieve alone. Next, as Hawkgirl continuously uses Dive Bomb and Hurricane Force to generate shields for herself, every time she uses a skill, Martian Manhunter gains stacks from Piercing Gaze, increasing his attack and defense permanently by 45%. And in return, every time Martian Manhunter casts Psionic Protection or Ronmir's Rage, Hawkgirl also helps him stack through the same interaction. The 2 constantly buff each other just by doing their own roles. This is an extremely efficient organic synergy. Another important point, both belong to the Justice League faction, which activates Hawkgirl's energy absorption passive, giving her more max health points. And the higher her health points, the more spiritual damage each stack of nth metal Aegis from her legacy piece can absorb for the whole team. That means just by standing next to each other, they automatically buff one another without needing any extra setup. For the ideal team, if you want to maximize this duo, I suggest adding more Justice League heroes to fully activate faction conditions for both Hawkgirl and Martian Manhunter. Heroes like Shazam, a very durable tank that can draw damage to himself, Superman, a main damage dealer who becomes much more survivable thanks to their support. He can even act as a bridge for Supergirl and Krypto to survive longer against spiritual enemies, which is the biggest weakness of the Superman family. The longer the three members of the Superman family stay alive, the more devastating their damage becomes. Or Wonder Woman, who can take the role of a tank and act as a bridge with the Amazons faction, helping increase physical defense and provide shields so both Hawkgirl and Martian Manhunter can survive better against physical damage dealers. All of them are solid options to fill the rest of the team, and a lineup with them is definitely very strong. I have personally fought against this combo and completely lost. I will show that clip at the end of the video. Finally, I want to talk about investment priority. If you are choosing between the two and your resources are limited, I think you should prioritize Hawkgirl first, because her legacy piece, Thanagarian Mace, creates immediate impact for the entire team right from the start, especially in short modes like PvP. Martian Manhunter reaches his full potential in longer battles, so he is more of a mid to long-term investment, better suited for PvE modes or long Guild War battles with multiple waves. In summary, Hawkgirl and Martian Manhunter are not just two strong frontline tanks, they are two pieces designed to complete each other. One actively creates shields and absorbs damage, the other endures, sustains, and counterattacks. Together, they form a defensive wall against spiritual damage that almost no current meta team can easily break. If you have not tried this combo yet, I strongly recommend you test it right away and leave your results in the comments so everyone can see. If you found this video helpful, don't forget to like and subscribe so you don't miss future analyses. I will see you in the next video. Thank you for watching.
Beware Green Lantern's power. I don't. Good.
Hawkgirl out.
I'm just gonna Nightwing it.
I don't play by the
Hawkgirl out.